Hello, guys. So you are welcome to another beautiful session of strategic case study. And today we'll be looking at portfolio strategies. Remember, as part of our strategic direction, I told you we must know how to manage our business portfolios. So we start with portfolio management. Now, the portfolios of businesses consist of all the combination of products and services or business units that it offers to its market or target market. Now, a corporate decision is to determine the strategic business unit portfolio of the company. That's your various business unit divisions, products, whatever it may be. Now, the determination of portfolios depends on the combination of factors like market share, market growth, profitability, capability, your industry strength, your market strength, your capability, your benefit and feel, right? There are a lot of principles that you must understand there. But first of all, before they even came up with portfolio strategies, right? An analysis was conducted somewhere in the 1960s, which talked about how various, are you getting it, strategic business units behaved, right? That how did they behave? What was contributing towards their success? Okay, that is what brought about the profit impact of your market strategy, how marketing led to what? Increase in your profits, right? So PIMS analysis, which we call it, starts from it stands for the profit impact of marketing strategy analysis. It's a strategic analysis tool that originated in the 1960s and is now maintained by the Strategic Planning Institute. The PIMS database contains data from thousands of strategic business units of major corporations, allowing for the analysis of factors that contribute to the success of certain strategies. Now, the Strategic Planning Institute, the SPI, develops and manages the profit impact of market strategy database. And the PIMS database consists of strategic data that include financial data, information on customers and competitors, quality and structure. Okay. Now, these data are provided to the Strategic Planning Institute by client companies, which contribute data on their business. And the database contains the experiences of over 3,000 strategic business units that are operating across all industries, operating many different types of products and services in general, regional, national, and international markets. Okay, so the submitted data are analyzed. Remember, we want to find how they are being successful. So they are analyzed and several reports such as portfolio analysis, their customer profiling, special studies, analysis of troubled businesses, and their strategic planning process is being examined. And upon doing this analysis, they came out with these findings, right? That there's definitely a link between your profitability and your market share. The PIMS analysis indicated that there's a positive correlation between your profitability and your relative market share. Now, your higher market share tends to result in higher return on investment or your profitability. And also, there's a connection between what? Your market share and profitability. And as a result of that, it can lead to economies of scale, which you can enjoy in your market, right? Like you can get better purchasing terms, the ability to sell in large volumes, efficient advertising, and more efficient asset utilization. There's also the relative quality of your product or service can play a crucial role in increasing what? Your return on investment. It was also said, and also high levels of investment in your capital equipment can reduce profitability because of maintenance and a lot of expenses that you will incur when you invest so much per unit in capital investment. Also, the PIMS analysis suggests that the acquisition strategies do not significantly increase return on investment for shareholders, within the main beneficiaries often being shareholders of the acquired company. So diversification strategies may also not be highly successful in terms of your ROI. So always, I think this can be asked in a case study, and just you need to tell us the key findings. That's the most important thing. Tell us what the PIMS model is about, and also the profit impact of your marketing strategy, tell us the link between profitability and market share, economies of scale, quality, impact of capital equipment investment and acquisitions, and diversifications. Very, very important. Now, there are some models for portfolio management that are necessary for the ICE exam, okay? So we have the Boston Consulting Group matrix, that's the BCG, which is mostly common. The General Electric Business Screen, which is a variation of the BCG, the Cell Directional Policy Matrix, which is also a variation, the Public Sector Service Matrix, Assurance Portfolio Display, which is a corporate parenting matrix, Life Cycle Matrix by A.D. Little. That one is more for strategic choice or strategic evaluation and product life cycle. Okay, we've dealt with the product life cycle and the Boston Consulting Group matrix already. Now, I am going to just go a little over the BCG. Now, the BCG is a portfolio analysis which is applicable to product, market segments, and SBUs. Okay, and it is a 2x2 matrix which classifies your businesses or divisions or products. Listen, businesses, divisions, or products. So when you go to the exam and you see that a particular company has different businesses it's into, or different divisions, or different subsidiaries, different products, there could be separate business units. Immediately you see this in a scenario, it should prompt you that, okay, I need to use BCG or I need to use a portfolio because they have different portfolio of business investments. You must be careful. Look at that. Every time you see that in a scenario, this is what you should be looking at, okay? Now, it classifies them according to their present market share and the future growth of that market, right? Which your future growth is mostly determined by your revenues, okay? So if you are establishing a BCG matrix, you have to divide the company into business units, determine the business unit relative size within the total organization, determine the market growth for each business unit, determine the market share for each business unit, and develop a graphical picture of the company's overall portfolio. And you select a strategy for each business unit based on its position in the company's overall portfolio of businesses, right? So there are actually four strategies that we consider also, which is to build. Building means what? You sacrifice short-term earnings and profits in order to increase your market share. So you invest more into that product. When we say hold, we mean that maintain your current position, stay where you are. So for instance, if I have something giving me enough revenue, I can decide not to do anything with it and hold it for where it stands. Then we have to harvest. So harvest means that you seek short-term earning and profit at the expense of long-term development, meaning that I take money from it to build other ones or do other investments, right? So if I have a business making me so much money, I can take money from it and use it to invest in other ones which are not performing well. Then we have divestment, which is reducing negative cash flow and releasing resources for use elsewhere. So I can divest, meaning what? Disinvest from one. So I can sell it, right? So selling off a business unit, not so, and using the resources to do something elsewhere is what we call divestment. Okay, so remember divestment. So we have build or invest, we have hold or maintain, we have harvest, okay, and we have divest or sell. So you can sell your business unit. Now, there are four main products or four main business units which you must know. You must know we have question marks or problem children, stars, dogs, and cash cows, right? Depending on the particular product you are going with will determine what you have. Now, BCG is based on your relative market share, right? It's based on your relative market share and your relative market growth. Now, relative market share is actually determined as your the company's market revenues also over the revenue of the largest competitor, right? So the revenue of the largest the largest competitor. Please don't ever forget this. So if you are doing market share, you take the company's revenue for that particular year over the revenue of the largest competitor. Okay, if you have this kind of information, you should be able to compute the market share. So if I give you information, you should be able to compute it. Now, we've done this before. Now, when it comes to market share, okay, the midpoint is 1, okay? So the midpoint is 1, meaning that if it is below 1, it is considered low. If it is above 1, it is considered high. So remember this and don't forget. Then we come to market growth. Market growth is actually how the market can grow in the future. And we use the revenues to determine this, right? That is where, if you have your sector revenues, that could tell you how the market is growing. So we mostly prefer to use our sector turnover or sector revenue, right? How the industry or the sector is actually growing. If you do not have information for that, you can look at the company. Remember, every company is reflective of the market in which it operates. So if I have my revenue, then I could take what? The sector revenue or the company's revenue to see how the sector has potential for growth, right? So I could take the current year minus the previous year all over the previous year times 100. We've seen this before, right? New minus old, all over old times 100. And this tells you how the sector or the company's revenues are growing. Okay, so for instance, if you are able to do this, it tells you that the business has market share. Now, what is the growth? The midpoint is 10%, right? Any growth above 10% is considered high, and any growth below 10% is considered low. Please do not forget this. So that's market share and market growth. Now, a combination of market share and market growth gives you the kind of products that you should consider, okay? It gives you the kind of products that you should consider, okay? So that is it. Okay, that is it. So you should always remember this for BCG, okay? Please don't ever forget this, because in your IC exam now, that is mostly what they are always going to ask you for. That's what they are always going to ask you for all the time when it comes to your ICA exam. You will require some calculations to determine whether the product or service, particular product or service, is in line with the growth and the share, the market share. So sometimes people call it the Boston Consulting Group growth share matrix, right? So remember this and don't ever forget. Now, one thing that happens most of the time is that there are other schools of thought that consider the BCG, the market growth and the market share differently, right? Based on the plotting. So far as it's higher beyond a particular limit, they consider it high or low, and they use, instead of 1, they use 0.5 for the market share. But I want you to stick to 1 for your market share, because that's what the examiner will be using to examine you. Now, let's just group the various products. So if I'm supposed to draw, let's group the various products. So if I'm supposed to draw, let's see, just cut this off, okay. Let's see, if I draw a nice graph this way, okay, I want to go graphing, okay, and then let me say I plot my market share here. Let's say here becomes my market share, and here becomes my market growth, okay. So let's say market growth. So meaning that here will become my midpoint, which is 10%. And this one, my midpoint is like 1, right? My midpoint is like 1. I'm just creating something, okay? So that means anything here will be considered low, and anything here will be considered high. Anything here will be considered low, and anything here will be considered high. Please do not forget this. Now let's rank the products here, or the business unit. when the product is low with low market share, low market growth, it will be plotted here, right? Because that's where they meet. This product is considered a dog, okay? And the best strategy for a dog is to divest. But some dogs, which are business units which are not performing well, are not to be sold. You could be selling a toothbrush and Pepsodent or maybe a paste, right? But the thing is, people like your paste, but they do not like your toothbrush. But you sell them together. Some are complementary. That means it's not all the time that you are supposed to what? Sell the dog, right? Sometimes you say, okay, buy one toothpaste, get one brush for free. Okay, so that people can buy. So some of the dogs are sold in bundles. And when a dog product is sold in a bundle, there's no need to sell it. So the best strategy could be to what? To hold that dog, right? So it's not all the time you have to sell a dog. Now, sometimes in rare cases, some dogs are not sold, they are invested in to change its nature, right? It will be more of a product development strategy, but it's rare. So mostly I prefer to divest or hold the dog. Then when we look at one which still has a low market growth but has a high market share, we call that a cash cow. Okay, so for a cash cow, it is making a lot of cash. Okay, it is making a lot of cash, but what happens is that it is no longer growing in the market. The reason is because this kind of product is seen to be in the maturity stage of its life cycle. Because of that, it has seen all the growth it can see. Now it is at its peak. So it is only making cash flow. So what we do is that the best strategies for a cash cow is either to hold it where it is or to harvest from it, right? To harvest from it, take money from it to support other products. That is the best strategy. It will not be relevant or necessary to invest more in a cash cow. It is not necessary. Now, when it comes to those with high market growth, we have those who have high market growth but low market share. These kind of products are called problem children, right? It's called a problem child or a question mark. And this one, what you can do is that, okay, though it is growing but does not have a significant portion of the market, you can decide to invest in it, or you can decide to hold it, or you can decide to divest. It depends on the business's strategy, right? So it's up to you. You decide based on the nature of the problem child. These products are just mostly introduced into the market. They have potential for growth. So sometimes we decide to invest in it or build it. Sometimes we decide to divest because it's not making so much. Sometimes it has a potential for growth. Now we come to the last one, which has a high market share and high market growth. We call this a star. So for a star, most of the time, what we do is we invest in it or we build. That's another name for invest, or we maintain it or hold it for what it is, right? So mostly for star, sometimes too, you can harvest. You can harvest from a star and use it to support other products. But mostly this is a rare strategy. It's mostly between build and hold. So these are the various products, and then what strategies you use for them based on high market share, high market growth, okay, low market share, low market growth, and you know how to calculate those ones. So you should be able to deal with them and write on it. Now, when it comes to its investment, right? Most of the time, when it comes to cash flows, a star has, are you getting it? Nail to a small negative number, nil to small negative or positive net cash flows. Okay, that's what a star is. The reason is because with a star, yes, you invest into it and you get revenue, but because in the growth stage, it's most likely to be in the growth stage, and because in the growth stage more people are coming in, you have to spend so much to defend against competitors and put measures in place. So your net cash flows are going to your cash inflows are going to net off your cash outflows. And that's what causes a star to have something like this, right? Now, when we come to a cash cow most likely will have a net positive, net greater what? positive cash flows, right? Because it can pay off all its investments, right? And we'll still have more to what? Serve its shareholders or increase shareholders well. So its positive net cash flows are greater. Okay. So let's say when I finish, I'll give you a simple example. Then when it comes to a question mark, it is now being introduced. A cash, this one is seen to be in the growth stage of the life cycle. Please, you need to link them. Then you have the cash cow, which is mostly likely to be in the maturity. So there's no need spending so much to defend against competitors and other stuff, right? With a question mark, what happens is that there's so much investment. There's so much investment, right? This one is seen to be in the introductory stage. And you know, in the introductory stage, you need to install machines and all that. Okay. So all these things, there's so much investment. So most of the time, it may have net, I get a net negative or negative net cash flows, right? So it has negative cash flows. But these ones are not greater than the decline stage. So you invest so much. So your cash flows, meaning that here, your cash inflows are most likely to be equal to what? Your cash outflows. Here, your cash inflows are greater than your cash outflows. That's what I mean. But here, your cash outflows might be greater than your cash inflows. But it is not so much like that of the decline stage, like that of a dog. So this one, because you are introducing the market, nobody is aware of your business. So because of that, it is difficult to get so much money. Remember, in the introductory stage, that does not mean you will not get money in the future. Okay. But when it comes to a dog, okay, when it comes to a dog is seen to be in the decline stage of the life cycle. So because of that, most of the time, is pure negative cash flows, not so. So they may not necessarily be cash inflows. It may just be cash outflows, or even if they are cash inflows, they are too small. Okay, so that should tell you what kind of product you are dealing with when it comes to your BCG. Please have this with you because ICA can decide to bring cash flows, right? So he can tell you, okay, this is various strategic business units of a product. These are their cash inflows. These are their cash outflows. These are their net cash flows, not so. Then they will intentionally give you maybe division A with cash outflow of 120 million, also cash inflow of 120 million, cash outflow of maybe 10 million, not so. So you have net cash flows of 110 million, not so. Then you have division B, which has net cash flows of a cash inflow of nil, but have cash outflows of 200 million, right? This is what you have. So you have a negative cash outflow of 200 million. You have division C, which has cash inflow of 400 million. Also have cash outflow of 401 million. Also, this one just has 1 million net cash outflow. Then you have division D, which has cash outflow of 200 million, cash inflow of 200 million, cash outflow of 212 million. So this one has what? 12 million cash outflow. Then you have division E, which has cash inflow of say 350 million and has cash outflow of 350 million, giving us nil cash flow. And they ask you, one, determine which product or the categories of products, or classify them, and also using what? One, the BCG matrix, so you are going to have to use the BCG matrix to categorize this product. And two, you have to use what? The life cycle analysis, also the product life cycle analysis to categorize them. Now, what we can do is that looking at this, we can definitely see that this product has what? A greater positive cash flow, right? So what would A be? we can say A looks more like what? A cash cow, because it has what? It has more positive cash flow. When you look at B, just negative cash flows, no inflow. This is most likely to be a dog, not so. When we look at C, it has negative cash flow, but the negative cash flow is too small, right? So it's more closer to zero. So anytime it's more closer to zero, that is more of what? A star, not so. Then when we look at this one, it seems that yes, it got some cash inflows, right? But the cash outflows were more, but not like that of the what? The one that was the dog. So this one I could say is a problem child or a question mark, not so. Then the last one is a nil, more closer to zero. So this is a cash cow. I said cash cow star, sorry. So this is how you look at it. And that is the BCG classification. Now, once you know these products, then you know which level or which part of the life cycle they are all going to be in. We know in the introductory stage, we have the what? The problem child, not so, the question mark. We know at the growth stage, we have the star. At the maturity stage, we have the cash cow. And at the decline stage, we have the dog. So if you know this, it can help you know which products to go with. So we know A was a cash cow, B was a dog. So in that case, we know that strategic business unit A is a cash cow, B is a dog, C was a star, D was problem child, and E was also a star, right? So this is the various categorization. So that's just about the BCG. Just remember the BCG. Okay. So now we go to another different model which compensates the BCG. It's a variation of the Boston Consulting Group matrix. So in the 1970s, the General Electric commissioned McKinsey and Company to develop a portfolio analysis for screening its business units. And this matrix, or the GE matrix, is a variant or a variation of the Boston Consulting Group matrix or portfolio analysis model. Now, the GE matrix has many points in common with MABA analysis. When you hear MABA analysis, it's an acronym that stands for market attractiveness, business position, and assessment. Okay, so the BCG is a MABA analysis. Any MABA analysis goes with this, right? Portfolio. Now, the GE matrix also compares product groups with respect to their market attractiveness. How attractive are they in the market, and their competitive position or competitive power. Okay, so now we are not just using market share and market growth, but we are looking at how attractive is your market against your competitive position or power. So another name for this is portfolio analysis. The portfolio of businesses consists of all the combination of products and or services that are offered to the market or target groups. So originally, this matrix made an analysis of the composition of the portfolio of the General Electric's business units. And later, the matrix proved to be what? Very useful in other companies as well. So how these models come about is we contract a consultant to do it for us, but later we realize that, okay, this one can be used for other companies as well. And that's how come you are learning it as a strategist or a strategic analyst. Now, the GE matrix comprises two axes. That's the attractiveness of the market is represented on the y-axis, and the competitiveness is plotted on the x-axis. Both axes are divided into three categories: high, medium, and low. Okay, so sometimes we prefer to go with high, medium, and low, or weak, strong, and average. Okay, so it depends on how you want to go. So the competitive strength or the competitiveness or the business unit strength is measured using strong, average, and weak, as I said earlier. The business unit is placed within the matrix using circles, and the size of the circle represents the volume of your turnover. Mostly that's how we used to plot this. And the percentage of the market share is entered in the circle. An arrow represents the future cost for the business unit. So mostly with this one, if you want to know how it goes, right? So if I decide to go with medium, high, if I decide to go with high, medium, low, or average, strong, average, weak. So it depends on how you look at it, right? When it comes to the business unit, we have what? Strong. Let me just draw this again for you to see. Let me see. So if I should plot this again this way, okay, there's a way you can deal with this, right? Okay, so mostly if you have this your industry attractiveness, no, so industry attractiveness. Let me just make it okay, industry attractiveness. So we have low, we have medium, and we have high. That's all. Yeah, we have strong, we have average, and we have weak. Okay. So here the strategies available are just 3. Okay, just like the BCG, but here is 3: to grow or build, to hold or maintain, or to harvest. That's the only available to you. Now, when we are saying that when the strategic business unit strength, okay, we'll come and look at what constitute business unit strength, but first understand it, right? The business unit strength, okay, when it's strong and the industry is less attractive, what you do is you hold your position because it's a strong business unit. So how do you remember this? Okay, so you realize that if you look at this, the strategies have been gathered in one area. They all gather in one area. So when you look at the grow looks something like this, not so. It's like 2 axes are covered, then another one joins it, not so, at the medium level, like this. So all here are acting like what? They are acting like they are all what? Grow, 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 grow. So it acts like that. So it goes in that fashion. And then the ones in the middle, not so, the ones in the middle are all what? Harvest, 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 harvest. Hold, 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 hold. So this one, you can easily put it in your mind that, okay, when I come, all the strategies that go this way, not so, are all what? Grow. Then all the ones that go in the middle are all hold. Then all the ones which come here are all harvest. Not so. So with this, it can help you know that, okay, all the strategies here, not so, are grow, not so, grow here. And finally, we have grow also what? Here. So when you know it like this, you know that, okay, these are the products. Then here we have what? Hold. This one will be hold. This one also be hold. And this one will also be what? Hold. So once you know this, you know that, okay, all these ones along this line are all going to be hold. And then from this point, everything here is going to be what? Harvest, harvest, and harvest, right? So once you know this, you know that, okay, now I've been able to what? Put my matrix together. So this is how you go about this matrix. Always have this in mind so that when you are drawing it, it doesn't look strange, okay? If you try to put it in your head, it doesn't make sense. It's not that it doesn't make sense. It could be cumbersome for you to remember the various combinations. But when you do it like this, you know that the one coming from the right side like this, all are grow. The one coming from down like this are all harvest, and the ones in the middle are all hold. So if you know it like this, then it is easier for you to plot the business unit, not so. So you know that all, when you look at the range, right? The ones which have a weak business unit strength, right? So far as the market attractiveness is low and medium, we only harvest them, take from them, and use it to support other ones. But when they are high, we tend to hold them, right? We tend to hold them for where they are. So it depends on how you want to look at it, right? So based on this analysis, we can say that what is the market attractiveness and what is the competitiveness or business unit strength. So it is possible to determine in advance whether a market is attractive enough to enter. That's the market attractiveness, right? And we can use, how do we determine market attractiveness? We look at the market size. Okay, how big is the market? Historical and expected market growth rate, right? That's how the market is going to grow, like BCG, how you calculate market growth. Price development, its threats and opportunities based on your SWOT, and also your technological development, the degree of competitive advantage you have in that market. That's what we call the industry or market attractiveness. When it comes to business unit strength, you are looking at your internal capabilities, right? That's your competitive unit strength. So this is like matching your SWOT, right? You are looking at your external and you are looking at what? Your internal, right? The value of your core competencies, your available asset, your brand recognition and brand strength, quality and distribution, access to distribution channels, economies of scale, access to internal and external finance resources. When you have these things, it can tell you that, oh, this business is quite successful. It is doing very, very well. And if the business is doing very well, then what is the thing that you should be concerned about if you are doing very well? Okay, this is what you need to consider. So when it comes to these kind of businesses, there are a lot of things that you need to look out for. Okay, so these were the strategies that we saw, right? So we can decide to what? Grow, not so. And these businesses that fall into the grow category, they do or have the ability to bring in future returns. That's so. To bring in future returns. As such, they attract investment in terms of R&D, advertising, brand development or expansion, and increase production capacity. Now, when it comes to hold, or we also call the whole strategy selectivity, the ones that fall into this section have potential, but their position is not yet what? Clear. Are you getting it? So investment is likely to be given to units in this category that have a strategic purpose or as further investment after money has been used to grow these SBUs. Okay. Now the harvest, these SBUs may not perform well and operate in a less attractive market. Okay. So investment may be provided, but only if it is considered that the returns will generate, are you getting it? The returns we generate are a bit sufficient to at least cover that investment, okay? So if this is not considered to be realistic, they may be what? Divested, okay? Now, this matrix, why do people not like it? It has some criticisms, right? It requires significant expertise to accurately determine the market attractiveness and business unit because you saw a lot of factors. Those from the external environment, those from the internal environment have to be matched, right? There's the business unit strength is from the internal environment, your core competencies, your economies of scale, access to finance, and then the industry attractiveness is more of your external environment, your threats and opportunities, your competitive advantage. You consider those factors, but at the end of the day, the thing is, it requires, because how can you know which match is the best, right? It requires experts to do that, and it is expensive to produce because you need a specialist consultant. Not so. It does not consider potential synergies that may exist between the business units, and magnitude weightings may be subjective. Yes, because here we do not have any market share, market growth telling us that 10% is the midpoint or 1 is the midpoint, like the BCG. So this one can be a little subjective. But as we know this, I think we can take a particular scenario and let's see how it could be done. So this is a question that appeared in November 2013, question 7. So we have Archibus Holdings is a conglomerate, meaning it deals with, it has different unrelated diversifications, okay? Of 4 businesses: a bank, an insurance company, a real estate company, and an import-export company. Now, management of the company has decided to re-examine the allocation of resources to the various business units. So after evaluating both business strength and industry attractiveness, the units are rated as follows. So I think they've given us all the units. I think we have high, the industry attractiveness, high, medium, low. Business strength, also high, medium, low. It should have been strong. High means strong. Medium is average. Then low is weak. So it doesn't matter. but they are saying using the appropriate portfolio matrix, explain the right strategies for managing each of the business units in order to ensure efficient allocation of resources. And when you get questions like this, all you have to do is being able to classify them well, one, and two, being able to give them the appropriate strategies. That's two, and three, explaining the strategies. That's all. That's how we deal with portfolio analysis in the exam. It's always like this. So in that case, looking at this, I will still go with this same thing. I don't want to waste time. So looking at this, when you look at those which have high, are you getting it? And low, you can classify them. So when you look at the bank, it has what? Bank has high, I think it has moved here. Bank has a high industry attractiveness, not so, and it has a medium, what do we call it? A medium business strength. So when medium means average, right? So we plot high industry attractiveness against, you see, this high. If I'm supposed to move this, you see high, oh, is it? This is high, not so, goes here, then meets medium, right? So high and medium, they meet here. So the bank will be here, right? With a strategy of what? Grow. Not so. So that's how you plot it. Then bank will be there, not so. Then the next is what? Insurance. Insurance was at what? I think that because it was shifted a little. It's this, and that. So insurance was at what? Medium industrial attractiveness and medium what? Business strength. So medium here is also at hold. So insurance will come here. Not so. So insurance will be here. Not so. Okay. Then when we come to real estate was at this is real estate, the third one. So don't look at it directly. The third one is real estate. It has a high industry attractiveness and also has a high business strength. So high, right? Strong, high, or strong high is here. We grow that business, right? We invest more into it. We build it. So I think real estate is here. Real estate will fall here. Okay. Then we have the last one, which is import-export. Import-export was considered medium and then low, right? Medium industry attractiveness, and then what? Weak business strength or low business strength. So medium and low, right? So medium is here and then low. So it falls here. So everything with weak or average falls here, right? So this one falls into harvest. So this one is import export, right? So this one, we are not so sure of what it can do for us. So this is how it has been categorized. So once we have been able to do this, all we have to do is take the businesses one by one and tell the strategy. So for the bank, you can tell that, okay, for the bank, the appropriate strategy for managing the bank is what? The bank was also at grow, right? Or it was hold. The bank was grow, right? So you tell us the strategy bank, grow. Then you explain. All you have to do is explain. I know you can explain it. So you just say the bank, then you explain, right? The appropriate strategy here is grow as this market, this particular way. Business unit falls into the category of what? Its industry attractiveness being high and low. And this means that these businesses should be this and that and that. That's all you have to do. Insurance, not so. Insurance, the best strategy is to what? The best strategy for insurance is to hold. Not so. For real estate, the strategy, as we saw, is to what? It's also to grow. And finally, we had the import-export. Import-export is to what? What was the strategy? It was the lowest amongst them. So that one we have to harvest. Okay, so these are the strategies. So this is how you deal with such questions. But how do you get your 10 marks? You just have to explain the strategies after categorizing them. And you need to always draw the diagram. Even if they've not asked you, you need to always draw the diagram. Okay, so that is it. Now we come to one of the portfolio models, which it's a little broader, okay, which was used by Shell, okay? That's the Shell Directional Policy Matrix. Now, the Shell Directional Policy Matrix is another alternative strategic portfolio planning technique, which aims to improve on the BCG matrix. Now, it analyzes SBUs along two axes in order to plot them in the grid. So your prospects for sector profitability and your competitive capability. So it's just like market attractiveness and business unit strength. Okay. So it looks like that. Now, the prospects for sector profitability is to determine where an SBU will sit on its axis. It will be given a rating of 1 to 5 stars. Okay, so remember, sector profitability 1 to 5 stars on each of the following areas: their market growth rate, market quality, industry situation, and environmental considerations. So prospect for sector profitability, if you are linking it to the AGDA models, are you getting? This is just like the industry attractiveness, right? Or the market attractiveness that we saw, right? Because it has the same factors. If you are looking at it from BCG, then you are talking about what? Market what? Growth. Okay. Most of the time, that's how it looks like. Okay. So you can see from here, market growth rate, market quality, industry situation, environmental consideration. So several factors will be taken into consideration to determine the number of stars and SBU. Remember, 1 to 5 stars is given in each of these areas. For example, an assessment of market quality may consider factors like profitability, how stable has your market been, your pricing behavior. When each of the 4 areas have been given a star rating, this will be converted into an overall score for the prospect of sector what? Profitability. So we always have to look at what? These factors. Very, very important, right? Then when you come to the company's competitive capability, okay, so to determine where an SBU will sit on the axis, a star rating is again allocated to each of the following areas: their market position, product research and development, your production capability. Remember, this one looks more like your what? Business unit strength. You remember, from within. So without and within will be matched together. So again, once a rating has been assigned to each area, they will be converted into an overall score of the competitive capability of the company. So the resulting matrix, I get it looks like this. Okay. So for the sector profitability, we mostly use unattractive, average, and attractive. Also, and we have strong, average, and weak for the competitive capability. Remember, sector profitability looks like what? Sector profitability looks like your industry attractiveness, and then competitive capability looks like business unit strength or business competitive strength. Okay, it looks like that. So within and without. So with this one, you just don't worry so much about the diagram, but worry about the different product units or the different business units that you have within them. Okay, so if you want to plot them, okay, if you want to plot them, you must learn it. With this one, you actually have to learn it very well, right? To know how they work. Okay, so if I decide to go with my competitive, just like I plotted the first one, my competitive capability also here, which is like my business unit strength. So I decide to go with what? Attractive. Sometimes you can use medium, average, and low also. So average, and then unattractive, right? Unattractive. Or better still, we can just take those ones off. Oh, why am I still back to cash cow and the rest? Let's just wipe this and let's just go with So we can decide to go with week, just like the x-axis. This is the lower one, right? So I can decide to go with week, average, and then strong, not so. See? So this becomes my competitive capability, right? Competitive capability, which is like your what? Your unit, your business unit strength, not so, just like that. And then when we look at this side, so maybe this side, I can decide to plot my what name would I put here? My sector profitability, right? Sector profitability. So let me just put here profitability. Okay. Sector profitability. Okay. So here I will have what? Unattractive. Then I have what? Average. Then finally what? Attractive. Okay. Now, so we are saying that if, let's start with the strong side. If your competitiveness is very strong and your profitability in that industry is very attractive, then you are going to generate a lot of cash. That means that business unit in BCG is more like a star back here, because he makes more profit and he has so much competitive advantage, is going to be a cash generator. Okay. So this product is going to be a cash generator. Okay. So we are saying that, okay, when you come to where it has strong capability, but its returns or its profitability is average, or prospects, are you getting it, are average, then we say that, okay, this product is more on the average side, not so, and then it is strong. You get it? So what happens then? So if you have more sector, if you have more sector profitability, that means you are doing very well because your market growth is high revenues and stuff like that, right? But if you see one which has average profitability, but capability is strong, right? So it has average profitability, not so, but then it is strong. This product may be what we call a growth product, right? It can be what we call what? A growth product. Okay, so, or the business unit may be a growth business unit. Then we have ones which have what? They're very strong and attractive, eh? Very strong and attractive would be a leader, sorry. It's supposed to be a leader. It's a market leader because it makes so much, right? That's what we call a leader. Then we come to growth. But the one which is strong with an unattractive market is rather just the cash generator. The reason is because with the cash generator, it's like a cash cow, right? The market is no longer attractive, but this person has made all his money, right? Just like the cash cow. The market is no longer growing. It is stable, but this guy has already made all his money. So this product is more like a cash cow. The cash cow, we have two types here, right? We have two types of cash cow in this matrix, okay? So these are the various ones that we have in this matrix, right? Then we have those who fall in the average category, okay? So if your competitive capability is average and unattractive, most of the time we tend to withdraw from the market, right? Because one, it's not attractive enough and you will not make so much. So we tend to move out of the market. Okay. So here, what you mostly do is that you just know the various names of the business sectors and know what the products are, right? You know what the various products or what the various business units should be, like what it means for each of them, right? So when it comes to those that are on the average, okay, are on the average for your your competitive capability, not so. Then we are saying that, okay, we have those that are what? Those that are unattractive. So if they are unattractive, most of the time, we tend to what? Disinvest from them, because one, the market is unattractive. Once it's unattractive, we tend to what? Disinvest. Okay, we tend to disinvest. So these ones will be more of disinvest. Those that are average, completely, they are just average, not so, for sector profitability. Are you getting it? So where you have what? An average, what do we call it? You have an average sector profitability, and you have an average, what do we call it? Capability or competitive capability. That product becomes what? Or that market, that strategic business unit becomes a custodial. Okay, so that product becomes more for a custodial, mostly for business unit or divisions, right? It becomes a custodial. Then we have those that are what? Attractive, but they have average capability. So the market is very attractive, but you have what? An average capability. These ones, we call them try harder. Okay, so we just try harder. So when we try harder, we can become a leader in the future. Okay, so that's what we call try harder. Okay, then we have those in the weak category. So in the weak category, you may have those that have weak capability, all right, but they are unattractive, right? Once they are weak and unattractive, we disinvest. Why have I mixed the strategies up? Most of the time, I just know what they mean. I do not usually plot them, right? But those that are weak and unattractive, we disinvest. We rather disinvest them. And those that are average and unattractive, it's called a phased withdrawal. Called a phased withdrawal. Okay, that's what that means. Then we have those that we do not need, just like dogs, we disinvest from them. Okay, so some of them may be weak, all right, but they are average. Not so. They may be weak, but may be average. And others may also be attractive. So when they are weak and attractive, they are what we call double or quit. Yeah, what we call double or quit. Okay, these ones we double or quit. Okay. And then we have custodial, we have double or quit, we have disinvest, we have phase withdrawal, do we have custodial, do we have leader, do we have growth, we have disinvestment. We have it. It's supposed to be 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's one left. That is the last one. Leader, growth, general, custodial, phase withdrawal, disinvest, double or quit. Double or quit. Phase withdrawal. Phase withdrawal. That's how come it confuses me all the time. The phase withdrawal you see, ICA uses a different variation. So I'm trying to adapt to that different variation. In the original matrix, there's some of the names are quite different. But anyway, I want us to just stick with what ICA is using. So let's just look at there are some products that are called a gamble, but here they've changed the names. So let's just stick to what they've given to us. Now, here, it's not necessarily about knowing where to place it on the matrix, but you should learn the matrix. Okay, you should learn the matrix. Okay, just you can also look at how IC has presented DS, which you can just go with. But this one, that means you have to mold it into your head, right? For ICA, they have done it like this, right? So let's go with what they have presented so that we do not make mistakes. So for ICA, they've gone this way. 1, 2, 3. Also, so with unattractive starting, average, and then attractive. Also, and this one is for your profitability. Also, then you have your unattractive, average, and attractive. This thing has come in your exam. We'll come and look at which diet it came. Then you have for your capability, also sector capability. You have strong, average, and weak. Okay. So when we look at the strong and unattractive here, it says we should have a cash generator product. Also cash generator. We have those that are what? Unattractive and average. We go with phased withdrawal. This one, you have to really put it in your head because it can pop up again. Then we have those that are unattractive and weak. We have disinvest. Then we have growth, average, also, which is average and strong. Average profitability, also sector profitability. But strong, what do we call it? Capability, competitive capability growth. Then we have those that are average, custodials, also. And then we have those that have average profitability and weak capability. Those ones are phased withdrawal. Also, then we have those that are attractive and have weak capability. Those ones we double or we quit. If we cannot add something, then we should quit. Then we have those that are average, but then have attractive what? So we have try harder. Okay, so we have the try harder. Then we have finally the leader who is very attractive in all markets and also attractive and very strong. So he's a market leader. So just know what each of these products mean, right? Or each of these strategic business units cover. So when we talk about those that we should disinvest in, they are the ones that are failing and are draining on our resources. So they should be liquidated and the resources should be reallocated elsewhere as quickly as possible. Okay, so the strategy here for these ones are to divest, right? So these are the disinvest ones. So most of the time, this one, this disinvest are actually the failing businesses, right? These are the failing businesses. And for failing businesses, what we need to do is to what? To sell them or simply divest, not so. You mostly divest. Then we have the phased withdrawal. The businesses which are phased withdrawal are the businesses which we do not, I get in it, need to mostly disinvest, right? But we know that in the long term, they are not going to what? Succeed, right? But now they are doing a bit well, not that giddy like that, right? So we do not need urgent action right now to sell, but we know that they are not going to succeed in the long term. Like it's doing well, it's not doing well, I'm losing customers, all that, right? So what we can do is that we can start, cleaning off some non-core businesses out of it, small, and then those monies will be using it to what? Like finance other SBUs which have greater potential. So these ones, they have less potential, right? And also may not, okay, the word is may not succeed in the future. okay, in the future. So what you have here, if I'm going with the BCG strategies, here we can harvest them or divest in about some few years so that we can use it to support other businesses. You see, when you know it like this, it makes it simple. Then we have the double or quit. These are the ones that are potential major future SBUs, which represent a gamble. In the original matrix, they call this the gamble, which they are saying double or quit. So either you go or you don't go. So it could go either way. The company will need to decide whether to take the gamble and invest in the capability of this SBU or whether to withdraw from SBUs in this segment, right? So it may do well, it may not do well. This one, we know that it may not succeed, right? But with this one, the double or quit or the gamble, we know that it is a gamble, right? Will or will not succeed, will or will not succeed, right? So you can double invest in it, not so if you think it will succeed, not so, which means you can build it, or you can divest, right? Or you can hold because you think that, okay, this one, let me hold it because I think it will succeed. So those are the ones that you need to think about, right? Then we have the other one, that's the try harder. These ones are the ones that are performing adequately for the time being, but they may become vulnerable over long periods of time. So this one, what we can do is that we can try harder and also to convert them to become market leaders, right? So try harder. I think it's tiredness. So for try harder, what we can do is that because these businesses, we can put in more, right? Because in the time being, they are doing well, but they may become vulnerable. So what we can do is that we can build them, right? So that they do not become vulnerable or invest in them. Then we have what we call the custodials. So for the custodial, they are average on both axes. They are similar to products in the BCG that have currently moved into the cash cow, right? So they should be used to generate resources which could be invested in what? Other businesses, right? So these ones, what we do is that we harvest them because they just became cash cows and they are making money. So why not harvest? Because they do not need further investment and they may not be successful in the near future. They will be cash cows, so just harvest from them. Then we have the cash generator, right? So the cash generator are the classic cash cow. Are you getting it? They should not be invested in, but they should be used to generate as much resource as possible. That can be used to fund expansion elsewhere. So this one too, what you do is you harvest from it. But what's the difference between the custodial and then the cash generator? With this one, it can collapse as a cash cow somewhere in the future. But with this one is the classic cash cow, which continues until maybe it dies out of the market. But this one, it could be a cash cow for some time and then die off because this one is not strong as the actual cash cow, which is a cash generator. Okay, but all will go for the same strategy. So this one, I will just harvest from it, but this one I can harvest or hold it for what it is, right? So it's just like the BCG. Then we have the growth leaders. Okay, so with the growth, what we do is that we just enough resources to be allocated to it to allow it to continue to grow. So here, all we do is build it, right? We are building it for it to become a leader, just like the try harder too, right? So this one we build for it to become a leader. That's the best strategy. So build or invest, right? Then when we come to the leader, it is already capturing a greater portion of the market, right? Where more resources should be focused to it to make it a cash generator. So what we do is that for the leader, we continue building it. And some companies may decide also to hold it for what it is, okay? So these are the various business units and then the kind of strategies you should be thinking for them, okay? So that is it for these this matrix, but let's see if we can get a nice question for it. So this was a question that came in December 2022, okay? Technic Cable. So Technic Cable and Wire Limited is a Ghanaian-owned company engaged in the local manufacturing of electric cables and wires. It was established by Mr. Asare Blankson, a visionary entrepreneur with a degree in economics. TCWL aims to contribute to Ghana's long-term development by promoting industrialization and business and building a sustainable business that can withstand the test of time. The company operates in the city of Tema, which provides convenient access to essential services and support for its manufacturing activities. The strategic location helps reduce transportation costs for imported raw materials required for cable production. TCWL is one of the 3 cable manufacturers in Ghana, alongside Power and Cable Ghana and Metalex Cable Limited. To ensure high quality output and enhance safety, TCWL adopted a business model that prioritizes the use of state-of-the-art machinery and technology. The investment was necessary to meet both local and international standards, as well as to compete with existing competitors. The company has imported world-class equipment from the United Kingdom and US, as similar machinery is not available locally. Maintaining this expensive machine has been challenges due to reliance on foreign expertise. Okay, so just from here, we've seen so many issues on SWOT analysis. So its critical success factors include customer satisfaction, nationwide distribution network, cutting-edge technology and innovation, cable quality and reliability, compliance with regulatory standards, environmentally friendly production, and highly trained employees. So these factors of CSFs, you can generate KPIs for them and even put them in a balanced scorecard, right? Now, the company recognizes the financial performance is closely linked to excelling in these CSFs, okay? They've even given you a guide. So if there are some numbers, you link it to this to see how they can be grown. Now, the company's vision is to become an African industrial giant in cables and wires manufacturing, aligned with what? Mr. Asari's belief in Pan-Africanism. Its mission emphasizes the manufacture of high quality and safe cables, minimizing negative environmental impact through the use of best resources and technology. TCWL's success is built upon 6 core values: service, knowledge, integrity, leadership, loyalty, and sustainability. These values guide the company's actions and drive value creation for customers and stakeholders. So overall, Technic Cable and Wire Limited strives to contribute to Ghana's industrialization, provide high-quality products, and establish itself as a key player in the African cables and wire manufacturing sector. So when we look at the products of the company, right? So it offers 8 different products to diversified customers. These products have performed variedly within the market and sold both in local and foreign markets. So we have the overhead line cables, which are bare or insulated, and they are used to manufacture or transmit high voltage power from the point of generation to the transformer for subsequent distribution to the end consumer, whether domestic or commercial. We have the domestic or commercial wiring building cables. These are products used in wiring all kinds of building. We have high pressure cables also that are designed for transmitting power from transformer to commercial buildings and industrial facilities, are usually buried underground. We have control cables for automation control for sending signals that control the equipment, as well as for measurement and regulation. Okay, they are used to connect instrument transformers, coil of circuit breakers and contactors, control switches, meters, protection devices, and other control and monitoring equipment. So we have telecommunication cables for telecom industry, solar cables for solar system power, accessories used in wiring buildings, then polyvinyl chloride granules that are plasticized PVC compound used for insulating and sheathing purposes across all industries, pipe fittings, all of those garden hoses, they do all these things, right? But they gave further information about their products, right? And they are telling us that they carried evaluation using the Shell Directional Policy Matrix. So this one is like answering the scenario type of question. The answer is already in the scenario. So for instance, they give us overlying cables, right? Now, the product has high sector or industry growth rate, making prospects for sector profitability attractive. So, but this product has a weak competitive capability and position because it is not the market leader. So that means that ICA is telling you to master this diagram. That's all it needs for the exam. So you being able to master this diagram once you look at this, it tells you that, oh, okay, so you know where it falls. So they are telling you that what? High sector or industry growth rate, right? So the industry growth rate is high, and also, which makes what? The sector profitability attractive. So it is telling me that what? Sector profitability is attractive, right? That is one, but it has a weak capability. Also, so profitability high. Let's see, profitability high, also, which means a strong, but it has a weak what? Competitive capability. Weak competitive capability, also. Where is weak? Weak competitive capability here. That means this product is going to be a double or quit, also. So that means this product is going to be a double or quit. So overlying cable. So you write the overlying what? Cables. So you draw this diagram. That means it should be in your head. I'm just giving you a guide, right? Just like we did the other one. So you just need to master this diagram. Just know which ones go there. So attractive side for profitability, we have double or quit, try harder, and leader, right? Being strong, average, weak. So know all of them. When you look at this one, they are saying that sector profitability high and attractive, all right. But then because of high growth rate of the market and the product has strong competitive position, right? So attractive and strong. So where is it? This is attractive and strong, meaning it's a market leader, right? It's a market leader. That means here becomes what? Building what? Wiring cables. Not so. That means building wiring cables is what? Is the market leader, right? So in that case, you come here and put here building what? Building or wiring what? Cables. Not so. This one becomes the market leader. Then you come to high pressure cables. They are giving an average prospect. Not so. They've given average profitability and competitive capability. Not so. Both are average. So average, that means this one becomes a custodial, not so. Average, that's high pressure cables. Oh, why is this thing behaving that way? So this one becomes what? High pressure cables. So high pressure cables, also high pressure cables. So you put it there like that. So that is how you go about it, not so. Then control cables. They said average prospect for sector profitability, but weak competitive capability, not so. So for sector profitability, it's average, but it is weak, not so. That means this is phase withdrawal, control cables, not so. Then you put it there. You see, that's how you go about it. So telecommunication services are what? Unattractive for profitability, not so, but have an average competitiveness, right? So it is unattractive, but it has what? Average competitiveness. So this one too is phase withdrawal, right? Telecom cables. So then you put it there. Then we have solar cables, attractive and average competitive capability. Not so attractive with average competitive capability. So this one, solar cables, you put it there. Not so solar cables, you put it there. Okay. Then you have accessories, very attractive because of high industry growth rate with strong competition. So that one too will be here, right? So you have attractive and strong, so which is accessories. Accessories will also come here under leader, not so. Then you have polyvinyl chloride granules, not so, which have average prospects and strong competitive position, not so. So average prospects and strong competitive what? Where is it? Average prospects or average profitability and strong capability also. So average and strong growth. So PVG, right? Polyvinyl chloride granules or something like that. So you just have to plot them based on the information. Okay, so you can see. So you see, we didn't get any disinvest and we didn't get any cash generator. So you see, building wiring cables came in. You can see overhead cables also. This one, control cables are here. Telecom cables, withdrawal, just like I put here. High pressure cables, custodial, try harder. So you just plot them and all you have to do is take them one by one, right? You bring the product, bring the recommended strategy. So this strategy recommended for this product is known as phase, withdrawal, or harvest. So no further investment and redirection of resources to more profitable product. Then you start explaining this strategy. So I will recommend that you look at the exam question again and look at each of the products. I get it. And be able to know the various strategies and what they mean. When you know it like that, I don't think you should have any problem with portfolio matrices. It should be fine, right? So that's how you go about it. I told you it's all about what? Knowing where to plot one, like classifying them well, one, knowing the various strategies for them, two, and explaining the strategies. I've given you the trick already, okay? So we come to the last portfolio matrix before I look at corporate parenting, which will be in our next session, right? So public sector matrix, which was prepared by or found by Montanari and Braca. Now, the BCG matrix and the others we have considered so far do not lend themselves well to public services. It's mostly for the private sector. So if maybe the case gives you a public sector organization, this is what you should be looking at. However, there is still a need to assess such services as it is important to know where limited public funds can be spent. So to address this need, Montanari and Braca developed a public service matrix which allows similar concepts to be applied. So the matrix analyzes public services along two axes. One, service efficiency. This considers how well and effectively the service can be delivered after an assessment of its strengths and weaknesses. So how effective can government or that public sector entity or that NGO be able to deliver the service after it has assessed its strengths and weaknesses? Then we have the public need and support, and whether when I fund this is going to be attractive, right? So this is with the extent to which the service is needed and appreciated by the people. So government can give a service which people may not want or people do not need. That means it does not have what public need and support and funding attractiveness. It will not be attractive to fund it, right? The greater this need, the more likely there is to be political support for the service. So what people need is what government is supposed to fund or where public funds are supposed to be pioneered. And therefore, the easier it is to justify an expense. So consequently, resources are more likely to be made available for this service. So remember, how effectively can we deliver? And also, do people need it? So if it is effective, people need it, and we can also deliver, then the appropriate mix will give us the various products in the matrix, right? So when we look at this matrix, we have where we can serve it effectively and where people need it. So if we can serve effectively and people actually need it, or their support and funding attractiveness is high, we have a public sector star. Okay, so public sector star services are essential. The system as a whole relies on the provision of these services, and they represent areas where the system is doing well, and so where changes should not be made. So this service is highly valued by the public, and the system is effective at providing it. Therefore, the strategic approach for such a service is to continue to provide a cost-effective service while remaining vigilant to any threats to this service that may arise in the future. Okay, so the next one is that, okay, we do not have the ability to serve it effectively after assessing our strengths and weaknesses, but the public needs it. So this one is a hot box, political hot box. We cannot, there are some things we need, but government cannot really give it to us, right? Those ones may be considered as political hot boxes, right? This is a service that is in demand by public and need for the service exists, or it is mandated. However, there are currently insufficient funds to provide them for us. So resources or competencies available in the system for this to be provided effectively, right? Now, the strategy for a political hotbox is to focus on obtaining resources for the service. I get it. So focus on obtaining resources for the service and creating systems that will facilitate the delivery of that service. So this is like what? Build, okay? People need it. So we are supposed to provide it. So we find money, I get it. We secure funding and move these services into becoming what? Public sector stars. So people need it. We do not have funds. So what do? Look for funds, put it here to shift it to become a public sector star. Then we have where People do not really need it, but we have the funds to fund it. Okay, we call that a golden fleece. So the golden fleece are services that the system is very good at providing and they are delivered effectively. However, the need or support for these services is very low. Demand conditions are low, right? People do not really need it. So the low perceived need for these services makes them prime targets for cost cutting. So the best thing to do here is cut costs on them, right? To allow the resources to be allocated to other areas of greater need. So if you are comparing to BCG, this one is more like harvest, right? We do not really need it. So the strategy is to aim to renew public support for them and the perceived needs, and urgent action will be required before the environment turns hostile towards the service as it is perceived as a drain on resources, right? So those resources, instead of feeding that fleece, go and feed some other business elsewhere. Very simple, right? This one I don't think is like so far it was the shell which gives stop time. But if you know the various strategies and where they should fall, you should be able to deal with it. Then the last one is where we do not have the ability to fund it. Not so people do not also need it, right? We call it the backdrawer issue. The service for which there's neither significant need and support, nor is it heavily invested in by the system. They have a very low priority in terms of funding and are the primary target for cost cutting. So between golden fleece and this one, I get one we harvest, one is like a dog. Nobody needs it. So if there's money there, you harvest it. If there's no investment, don't worry yourself. So backdrawer issues should be phased out of service unless they are perceived by management to be essential. So there are things that government may provide. We may not need it now, but in the future, we may need it, right? So if this is the case, then effort should be taken to raise the public awareness and support for those services, perhaps by searching for a variation to its mission that may attract such support. The aim of this is to increase its funding attractiveness and move the service into the political hotbox sector on the matrix, and subsequently in the future, it can become what? A public sector star. So remember, do you have the funding or the ability to serve effectively? Does the public need it? If you have the ability to fund, public needs it, public sector star. If you have the ability, if you do not have the ability to fund, but people need it, it becomes a hot box, political hot box. You need money to put it inside urgently. Also, if you have the ability to serve it effectively, but people do not need it, you can raise awareness for people also, or renew public support or cut costs from there, harvest and use it to fund the political hot box to become a public sector star. If you do not have the ability to fund and people do not also need it, maybe now they do not need it, but in the future they may need it, you can what? Divest from it, and also not invest in it at all. Or if you have money in it, withdraw it and use it to do other things. Or also, if you think it's essential, give people education about it so that in the future you can move it to political hotbox. So that is about it for the various portfolio matrices. And then I'll see you in the next session where we'll be looking at the parenting, corporate parenting and the parenting matrix together with the ADL matrix.